Good evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Inception Saturday Night Live. I'm chewing a lozenge, so if I choke to death on camera, don't laugh, okay? So tonight I have an absolutely amazing guest. Recently, I was honored and privileged to go on Rob and Omar's absolutely amazing conference. It's still going on for a few more days, where I watched this amazing lady, Miriam. Miriam, welcome to Inception Saturday Night Live. How are you?
And I'm live from Colorado, across the pond. We're talking.
Across the pond,
Right.
And Miriam's got one of these accents. She's like a gangster girl to me. I've got Gangster Rob from New York.
It's a Brooklyn accent.
And it's wonderful. Welcome to the show. As I said, guys, I saw Miriam on Humanity Unplugged. It's an amazing mega portal, absolutely humongous conference that is bringing so many modalities to the world, to humanity. I recommend go on live. If you can't, do what I do most days. I go on to catch up because I'm in the UK, and it's just guest after guest after guest giving up their time, sharing their modalities. There'll be something there for you to inspire, uplift, and heal. On that note, now I've done a shout out to two amazing men. Tonight, this show's titled The Divine Feminine, Deconstructing the Social Construct. Okay? And I'm going to hand this straight over to you, Miriam. You just go. You just go.
No, please come in. Come in whenever. I want to have a discussion with you as well.
I know you do.
We're talking about deconstructing societal constructs. Also, I don't believe that the feminine is only carried by women. I believe that the feminine and the masculine traits that everybody talks about is not binary. They have never been binary. So even that construct of either or, bad, good, what it does is it keeps people in a place. It takes away critical thinking. It takes away questioning anything that's going on. It keeps you in a box. So if you're in a box, and I believe that this happens from birth, before we're born, we're given an innate intelligence, an innate wisdom that never leaves us. When we're born and as we grow up, they call it our intuition, but it's really who we are. Well, when you look at the social constructs, I'll give you an example. I grew up in the 50s, and Donna Reed. I don't know if I don't know if in England there was a Donna Reed, but there was a show where if the mother always wore heels, she wore beautiful dresses, and she vacuumed in pearls.
Yes, we had that here in the UK. Not Donna Reed, but we had that here in the UK.
So here I am thinking that's so lovely. My family isn't like that. Therefore, I was wrong. Not that everybody looks differently, but that I was wrong. That something was wrong. Also, let me backtrack a minute. I was raised to be quiet because the family was were Jewish. So, and I was born in 1946. So right after World War II, we went through the Holocaust. We weren't in Germany, but we had family that was in Europe that was extinguished. So from that, it was about keeping still so that if nothing would happen to you, because you're really not a part of the larger society.
Yep.
So put that on top of the other layers. Going to school, thinking that something is wrong, not realizing that you learn differently than anybody else, that you might not fit in to how they're learning. So if this happens layer on layer on layer, where are you? What do you do? Now, I'm not saying it's done on purpose by family. It's done because that's all they know how to do. I mean, when I started growing and being who I am, I really had to sit down and forgive.
Yeah.
For not getting what I know now I should have gotten. And I had to grieve the fact that I bought into all of that. And that I might not be. I could have been more. I mean, it's like, and that's what we go to.
Yeah.
We go to, I could have been more, I could have done that. And there's a mourning process. I think through this whole rising of the divine feminine, or rising and breaking free, I want you to imagine Botticelli's Venus rising from the clamshell. Beautiful. It's one of my favorite paintings. And that's what happens. So, or a snake shedding its skin.
Yeah.
So when I found out, oh, I'm capable of doing this, wait a minute. I don't believe in binary. Okay. I don't believe in good, bad. I am angry at everything and everybody because I was fed a very whitewashed existence. I was fed that in school and everything else.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I will jump in there. I resonate with that. And many people that I'm aware of on a personal level, I was raised a quiet child for a totally different reason. And I was given my beliefs, my social constructs, one after the other. And it's within the hindsight now, which is a bitch. I then started to understand why I started at an early age to keep resisting what I was told was the norm and socially acceptable and the way to be, like the lady with the shoes, hoovering, look beautiful for your husband and all the other stuff. But I found by understanding that aspect, the healing of me, or the forgiveness, the healing of me, I found runs smoother, and the morning runs smoother because I looked at it from that perspective. Does that make sense with you?
But yes, because you and I were talking before. I think I started growing up into finding out who I was when I went to a master's program, and I was 48. So, and I had 2 girls, my husband, everything was good. But I had a teacher. I was asking her if I could do something. It was a panel, if I could put this panel together. And she kept on asking me, well, what do you want? And I never realized that what she wanted was for me to tell her what I was going to do, not ask her. So what happened was, first I thought she was talking to somebody behind me. What happened was she must have been one of the first people that said, what do you want to do? And it was so, because it was like, I tell everybody, I grew up like an amoeba, or because amoebas are blind, or a paramecium. They're blind, and if they hit something, all they do is back up. And if they hit another thing, they back up. And basically, that's how I grew up. Now we're talking the 50s.
Sorry, I've got to say, you said something really crucial here. When you went for the masters, this lady said to you, "What do you want to do?" And I don't think people have an understanding that we've never been asked prior. This is where this goes. What do you want to do? It's you will do this, you will do that. Whatever you desire, that is totally irrelevant. We'll put that to one side. But it is for the deconstructing of this, or working on yourself, whatever way you choose to do, to have the opportunity, or to hear for the first time, what do you want to do? Like, you matter. You have a voice. So I just wanted to sort of like expand upon what you said, because I think it's quite crucial to the discussion.
Thank you. I mean, I had a voice. I had a voice as a mother, and I had a voice
Yeah.
as a wife, and I had a
Yeah.
voice. And you couldn't stop my voice, all right? Because I was completely vocal about everything. Because if I saw injustice, I had to scream about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the divine feminine, the energy that started rising.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, you come on really strong, because that's not a female attribute. I mean, I'm not supposed to come on strong. So it's, where are you coming from? That, that I, well, you're really strong. You have like more male attributes. And I went, oh, good. Does it make you uncomfortable? It's like when we left LA, I was 62. And people were saying, how could you leave? I mean, you're this age, you have a fantastic job. My husband and I moved to Colorado. My older daughter was here, and my younger daughter came a year and a half later. And I said to the people who said to me, they were so worried about everything. And I said to them, okay, so if I was 26, would you be saying that to me? Well, no. I said, well, then turn my numbers around. And as far as you're concerned, I'm 26. Because, again, another construct. You do not pick yourself up and reinvent yourself. Now, was it difficult when we came here? Well, yeah, because most people at that age, they have their circle of friends. They have their they brought their children up together. They had a life together with or without the children. They knew people.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. And then I started meeting people that I could talk to.
Yeah.
People like you. People like the people that were at the conference.
Yeah.
And the reality was that my strength is in who I am. I when I was at the conference, I started by saying, what you see here is not who I am.
Exactly.
Inside is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easier if I just portray who my outside is who I am? Of course it is, because if I go inside, it gets scary. It gets vulnerable. It gets, even though all those words are just words that were constructed to keep me in a little place, because who likes feeling vulnerable? And it was like, it's not easy. It's still not easy for me. There are still days that I would rather exhale and go back to what I was, and I can still do it too. But that divineness, that the essence of it. And I told you that I went back to graduate school at 48. I realized about roles and everything else in my 50s. I tell everybody, okay, I turned 50 and I said, I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. I'm halfway there. You know what? I'm gonna grasp everything and who I am. Turned 60 and it was the same thing. I turned 70 and I said, damn, you better just show up now, okay? Because that's like, you're in your third chapter over here. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And again, there's the wisdom.
Yes.
But you don't have to be 50, 60, or 70. All you need to do is tap into an inhale and an exhale.
And
what
also,
did I do?
You said it again. You always come out with these absolute apt phrases. And that's why I love you so much. Your energy is just, for me, I mean, guys, you're not going to believe this woman is 75. I don't believe her. She's had no Botox, nothing. This is her.
It's good genes. It's good genes. It has nothing to do with anything else.
You must have Irish in you. That's all I can say. No, but you said, another statement. You just got to show up. Just show up as who you truly are. And I think when you can do the deconstruction of these the social constructs that's put on, the labels, how, what, when, why we're supposed to be. You said earlier on, I'm very loud, and you're very loud, and that. And I remember being a child women don't raise their voices. Girls, well, why not? Okay, women do not swear. Well, why not? Who made that rule? Yeah. I mean, my natural, I'm loud, I will laugh, I will joke, I will fucking swear. It's my show, I can. Obviously, there's circumstances where I wouldn't
Well,
swear.
you said I am a lot. I don't think, I hate that word. I hate that word a lot. I hate that word too much, because it goes, it's like balancing. Okay, you weighing. You are never too loud.
I'm never too loud. No,
never too loud, because there is no such thing as too. TOO is horrific.
yes.
Again, another construct. Now, I have to tell you, I didn't know about constructs until maybe I was on talking to one of the young people on the panel that you saw us on. And I was talking about being vulnerable, and she told me about social constructs, and all of a sudden everything fell into place. You know, that everything was learned from the outside. So I want to ask all of you, I want you to imagine that you're in the opening march for the Olympics, where they hand the torch all the way down, and then somebody lights it.
Yeah.
But you're lighting the torch with your own light, with your own torch. So as they hand it down, we just do it automatically. We take it and we hand it to somebody else. I mean, that's an automatic reaction. But what we're not realizing is, with all the construction that goes on the outside, every time we hand our torch, our light, to somebody else, it diminishes us, and we don't know that it's happening. So if we can see that, if we can understand that part of it, don't give away your torch. Number one, my whole thing is that if I see you, you're a wonderful human being, and I only want the best for you.
Yeah. I love how on this journey of this healing journey, I love the different types of perspectives, how people bring it to the table, and I really love that your analogies and the way you express it. For me, it's fresh, it's new. Some of us recycle the same terminology. I think I'm guilty of that. Hands up. But the way you express it, like handing the torch again, it's sometimes we all need that shift in perception to look at something slightly different. I mean, I could spend the whole show just listening to you and not even having an interview with you, because I've told you that when I heard you on the conference, I actually missed quite a lot of what you were saying, because your energy was just coming out. It was just absolutely beautiful. And then when the other in the panels were talking, I'll go, no, go back to Miriam. I missed that bit, and it's the way that it's raw, it's truthful, and it's extremely expressive. Now, could we identify some more social constructs that may help anyone who's going to watch this live tonight or on a replay, that they may not understand are social constructs?
Here's a this is how I view social construct.
Okay.
It's you have a coin, and on one side is heads and on one side is tails, and you flip a coin and you see who is going to go first. Well, social constructs is that on one side of that coin is how you should act, what they told you to be quiet and listen and not ask too many questions. And then on the other side is, wait a minute, why is that wrong? Why is that wrong? That's who I am. So we do it with children. I'll give you an example. 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, everything is why. They want to know why, because they're absorbing the world around them. They're absorbing the energies. They're absorbing everything. They should be asking why. And we get exasperated. I
Mhm.
did, because how could
I
you
did
listen to why all day long?
all day. Yes.
But I realized that if I talk to them, if I want them to start thinking critically,
Mm.
then I have to accept the whys.
Yeah.
But what I was taught was you don't ask why.
Exactly.
Again, a social construct that I had to give up. And I
Mhm.
gave it up. I'm telling you, it was really late in their upbringing. And sometimes, I have to say I'm sorry to them,
Mm.
because it never should have been the way it was.
Mhm.
So we basically, as a family, are healing together. Now,
I got to say, every family is healing together. Every family now at this time on this timeline is healing together. The question why. I've had 6 children, and I had a lot of whys from 6 beings, and because I wasn't allowed to say why or even speak unless spoken to, I would say to them when it got a bit too much, I say, if I had a pound for every time, why? And so I understand that, but that why that is suppressed, yeah, is for me is one of it's child abuse. If you ask me, it's child abuse, because if we allow the child to express its curiosity and to work things out for themselves, I think that's it helps in a way to maybe not stop, but not make the social constructs or programming,
exactly.
conditioning so sticky with them. They're not so linked in. However, our generation, that was a no-no. I mean, if you questioned why, you were hit from one side of the room to the other side of the room. And so that was a learned conditioned behavior. Know why. However, when we get to the point, like you said, when you went off and you met this lady, you're going for your masters, and you started to open up, and you could ask the question why, and it was okay to ask the question. That, I mean, that to me is another crucial area that many people, they don't even know, they haven't even asked why not, why does that happen, why is this law in place, why is it illegal to do that when it's an innate natural. So I just wanted again to expand upon that one as well. It's a good one.
Yes, exactly. I'll give you um, uh, a social construct, and we see the young people today,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making their own world. They're changing it for themselves,
Yeah.
and for them, there's no social construct. Yeah, that they don't kill anybody, but as far as who you are as a human being,
Mm-hmm.
they're shedding a lot of the social constructs
Yes.
we were told. Here's a perfect example: binary and non-binary,
Mm-hmm.
male, female. Um, and if you don't fall into that, then you're wrong. And in America, what you could see it when Florida says you can't say gay or read about it, or even come out with the fact that you're gay. It's don't ask, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Other states are making it illegal for transgender children to do anything, because they figure it's a choice. It's a social construct, and these kids are saying, no, that's not who I am. I'm not in this body. I am not who I am. Okay. And questioning, but wait a minute, so why is it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it wrong? That's deconstructing, and that's
Yeah.
the biggest one.
Yeah.
Okay. They're deconstructing religion,
Yes.
basic built up religion. It was, for me, it was black and white religion. That was
Yeah.
it. But they're questioning it, and
Yes.
I think all this questioning and all this standing up and marching and being
Yeah.
seen is the
Yes.
healthiest thing that they can do. I would sit and say to my children, I wonder what I'd be like if I was born now. If I didn't have to walk through all that stuff, and I know that there were people my age that didn't have to walk through all that stuff, whose family was very aware of what we're talking about now and allowed them the room to do whatever it is. But there's such a lightness now, although
it's totally different.
The kids, the kids that are standing up, the non-binary children, the queer children, the transgender children, it's not about a choice, because when you talk about it being a choice, then once again you're putting in right, wrong.
Absolutely.
You're not accepting their choice. That's deconstructing the norms. What you're doing is you're going against societal norms. Why do I have to go against it? Why can't I just be? Why?
Exactly. I love it. I want to throw in here, obviously I spent a lot of my career in the past working with youth and young offenders and things like that. And I have a son myself who has ADHD, they said, label. And I knew from the get-go that was another social construct, because there were these children that are not conforming. They haven't got the conditioning, the constructs of how, and they're going, no, not doing it, no, and forever sort of getting into trouble. And I remember even with my son, I call my son my spiritual warrior. And they said he had ADHD or whatever. And they tried to medicate him. I said, no, there's no medication going in. And I've met many young people with what they label ADHD, another construct, another control mechanism, who are saying, I don't give a shit. I haven't got that. You can say I got that, but I'm just me. This is me. And I found the more over the years that I've just said to my son, just be you, don't harm anybody, sometimes tone it down a bit, because he can't understand social constructs. He literally can't do it. So he's a musician, he's an MC, he's doing, he just can't conform ever. Highly intelligent, great grades, but bored with it. It's boring.
You said a word. You said conform.
Yeah.
And why would he have to? Why can't there be teachers there or classrooms there where the children can be who they want to be, or who they are, or learn how they want to learn? And if they are, and I know that they're there because my grandson is going to one, because he was hasn't been diagnosed, but educationally he has ADHD.
Yeah.
So why not just accept it and allow the adults, the teachers, and I say teachers in quotes, because I don't know what they're teaching, but to embrace every child. Now, I know that you can't do it when you have 30 kids in a classroom. I know that you can't do it in the way it's set up now. But to look at the fact that they're having problems with schools, not because the kids are the problem, but because you are coming in with your own skewed perceptions of what somebody else should be. So, and do they teach teachers this at all about critical race theory? No, because again, it would mean that they are critical thinkers. And if you're critical thinkers, you don't buy in to the social structure. You want to change it.
Absolutely. All these, I must say, I'm not forgetting us adults here. It comes at a point on the journey of your human experience when you awaken to this and you do the same procedure. However, the deconstruction, and you say no, and you don't comply, you don't conform. But staying on with the children, the system, the education system has to crumble, because it's the children coming up. exponentially they're diagnosing children with ADHD. Exponentially, because they have to try and control it, but it's too late. They can't. These kids, and especially like on my son's generation, 23, they're all out there. Do you know, they're all creative. They're all either in the arts, in music. The work that they're doing for humanity is unbelievable. They don't go around saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a light being. They don't do none of that. They just know I can't conform to the 3D. So and for me, and I don't mean this in a sexist, whoever's listening, it is the divine feminine coming out. And as you rightly said, it's in the male and the female. The balance is needed, but it's not just the balance in the energy, it's the balance in the being that's carrying the energy around, whether it's male or female.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly, because we need the balance.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I can't be the creative divine feminine because I need to stand up.
Yeah.
Okay. And that feminine voice sometimes is not listened to because this is where we're living. But if you think about all of this and about the divine feminine, and as you said, sweetie, everybody has it. So even though we're the show is called The Divine Feminine Rising, it's actually rising now because everything is changing. We're actually looking at how we're killing the earth. Although we're not doing anything about it, but we're understanding about non-binary, although we're not accepting it. All of this is coming out, and we're becoming more. I just said we're not accepting it. Some aren't accepting it, but there's a swelling of people who are standing up and saying, no, this is not okay. We need to start taking care. We need to start taking care of each other. We need to start taking care of social structures like public programs that take care of people, food stamps, feeding children at school, whatever takes care of you. I need to be a part of, as you need to be a part of as well. So but that's the nurturing. That's the nurturing that we've been given as women.
Exactly. I mean, for me, coming from my truth, we've already done it. And what's happening now, not only are the billions of children, the next generation of beings up and raring to go, I'm not complying, one. And obviously there's billions as well of the mature adults are just waking up to, I'm not complying, and bringing through. How many males you hear start talking now about the divine feminine? They understand it doesn't mean, guys, women's power. It's nothing to do with power. It's the balance of the energy in the being. If you look at the analogy of the divine feminine, the mother, the nurturer, okay? The mother, the nurturer, the feeder, the lover, all of them things for all things. So, and the divine feminine to me represents, it's not just the self, the children, the family, it's the community, it's the society, it's the earth. I mean, and I've heard many men and women talking about this, and I've done it myself with my friend Rosie, because I'm hoping to move off this island soon. I will be moving off this island soon to a smaller island where we're going to grow food and exchange food. If someone doesn't have any money, we're going to look at herbal remedies for medicine, because in the UK, you cannot get to see a doctor unless you're dying, and that's a bit too late. So the divine feminine rising is deconstructing the system, replacing it with more neutral, balance-based alternatives. We are the mainstream media now. the podcast, the chat shows. I mean, everyone's switching off that TV, which is just so wonderful, and we're doing that. There's also schooling coming up for the children. Alternative schooling's coming up. So, and we're also hearing in law, different laws are coming up. In architecture, I mean, I can't stand the architecture of today, I must tell you. It's just so like so synthetic. And so the divine feminine rising is the aspect of what's healing humanity now. And I do not mean women.
Exactly.
I do not mean women.
Exactly. It's basically deconstructing corporate mentality.
Yes.
Because we all know that everything is about the bottom line.
Yeah.
And America was founded on genocide. Even when I was younger, that's one construct I never accepted. That, we weren't asked to be here, so it's basically stolen land, because we were running away from England. So where we were also being persecuted. So come here, we persecute somebody else, and whatever we need, we have to rely on each other. I truly believe when you said that you're going with your friend and you're going to rely on each other for the food, for everything. I was talking to somebody, and I always believed in this, that when we were an agricultural community and we needed each other. I mean, they still have agricultural communities in islands that are in the Pacific. Yeah. And what happened is that we needed each other. Our children went to somebody else's house. Their children came to our house. And you did everything together because you knew that if you didn't do this, you would starve, that you needed each other for your lives to work. Then they bring in automation and they bring in the Industrial Revolution. At least in America, this is what happened. And everything took over, and it was all isolation, and you didn't need anybody else.
Absolutely.
You were your own entity.
Yeah.
And if you needed somebody else, they were busy doing whatever they were doing. We had you can't be who you're going to be if you're on an assembly line.
Absolutely.
And you're doing the same thing constantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we do this at this point in our lives, this point in our existence, where you could feel the energy changing, but it's going against everything. So as we push forward, they push back because they don't understand this, what they consider ethereal being that is going to change what they believe in. Well, no, maybe we can encompass both of them. Maybe you can not look at the bottom line of your company, but look at the humanity that's working in your company.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And we had the women's marches, and I know you did too. And I was in one of them, and we were standing at a barricade waiting for the police to let us start walking. And I was there with my daughter, and I said, why are we standing here? Well, because they have to open up the barricade. I said, why? There are people in there. What are they waiting for? Well, they're controlling the crowd. I said, but nobody's there. So my daughter said, Ma, you're going to get us arrested. And I said, I don't care. So what happened was somebody next to me said, what do you think about everything that's going on? And I turned around and I said to them, you're too polite. You're asking for marching from the city, marching permits. You're asking for this permit and that permit. This was not what it was like in the 60s. Of course, it was in the 60s, and we couldn't bring it into anything else. But you're too polite. You're too polite. You need to go out there, and you need not to be polite. So what we did was, I said, I'm going. And we went and we started marching.
You're marching.
And nobody stopped us. But we're so used to
Conforming is the word. I mean, I liked again what you raised there, another crucial word, permit of things. And it's come in the social constructs. There's the major ones that were set way back in the day in the history. But you can see it everywhere you go. Now, I don't know about in America and the UK. You need a permit to park here. You need a permit to do this. You need this to do that. And it's control. And you see it. And there does come a point, and that's what's happening in the masses now. People are going, I'm not doing this shit no more. They're now recognizing these constructs that, if we use the analogy, you're sort of linked in, to the matrix, and you're just conforming
right.
who you truly are inside, like the child, but why is trying to come out. And then in the end, what I've seen, especially over the last 2 years, how many of these inner beings have gone, pop, I'm not having any more. So for me, what we're seeing, where they keep coming as we push, they push. But for me, that pushing is exactly what we need to wake up. We've needed what we've had. I have no complaints. I have never met so many humans on a path of self-realization and freedom. And instead of being me, fear-based, victim-based, they're actually starting, and I think locking everyone up and keeping people away from each other, they thought would really lock down in the social. It didn't, because they realized, I really do appreciate another human being. And everyone started talking. And then everyone started not conforming, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger until, I don't know about you, but in the UK, it's all ended. It's all finished in this country now. It's gone.
That's right. When we couldn't go out, when we were on lockdown, I didn't have to, I was me. I did whatever I did. I wouldn't go out because I was in a high risk. And maybe I shouldn't have believed everything that they said, but when you're 75, I'm not taking anything for granted. So you start realizing that there's nothing to do. Well, you're going to go inward. There's no movies. There's no distractions. You can't go into a restaurant. No. And I said to my husband, we've been together 45 years. And I said to him, I don't know which one of us is going to walk out of this. Because I don't know how we're going to both live and for however long we have to together, not because we don't love each other, but because we're so used to being individuals. Yes. And here it's like, what movie do you want to watch? And, what are we going to eat? And I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Well, what happened was we found out that we can be without distractions. Yeah. We can make mutual decisions, because neither one of us is getting input from anything else.
Yes.
And it happened with everybody. But now it's gone, because now everybody can go out and do everything. And I wonder again, and believe everything. And I wonder again if this was our 15 minutes of fame. Andy Warhol said, everybody has 15 minutes of fame.
Now, this is the victory run. It's not 50, it's a victory run. You cannot, when the being is out, no thing can get it back in.
That's right.
That's my truth. This is the victory run. And again, you've raised another crucial point, was that when you spoke about your husband, because everyone said, oh God, I mean, I was locked up with one child, but I did the same. I went in and you didn't go for the external distractions. The only time I turned on the TV in the very beginning was to look at laws. I still went out every day. I went off for my walks. I went out and I went and got my shopping. I didn't change my life, but I never got distracted. prior to that, I was always partying, party hard. I was out. I loved it. I loved getting my friends. I was, I was a social person. And I love being, and still a social person. Even in lockdown, I was a social person. But I found because that was stopped, there was a silence, and it pushed me more inward because I didn't have the distraction. So in every individual, the divine feminine comes up, and you actually start to, the constructs that, that won't be able to happen because of ABC. That's a load of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. I can't do this because of AB. That's a load of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's been a blessing, because what that's done, you've just touched upon it, is you and billions of us were able to go within and find out we're a lot more than what they said we were.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, now we're on the victory lap. This is what me and Rob were saying, the
Right.
victory lap. We're there. You can't tin it no more, Miriam. You can't put the lid back on it. It's done. And
mm-hmm. And part of me says hooray. I'll give you an example.
yeah.
We had I think the last election, not this one, the one before this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a party, and friends of mine, intelligent, educated women, were sitting around, and they're talking about, so who are you, who do you like, who do you don't like, what ideas are you going for? And I just sat and listened to them, and I finally, they came to me, and I said, you realize this isn't a free election.
Mm-hmm.
You realize everything is set up already. You realize that there's dark money behind everything, and it is the final control. I mean, you want to talk about social constructs. It's the final control. So, and they looked at me, and I am telling you, everybody got up and said, I think we'll have dessert. Because to go there, and break away from everything that you've been taught is such a difficult thing. And what it happened was, I said to myself, you're not going to be invited anywhere. And I went, so what?
Yeah, I totally agree. Exactly. And it's true. I mean, it took, I remember years ago, I stopped voting years ago, and I said it's the same thing. And then through research and listening to others, and then it just became, well, every election, there's the illusion you are voting to get who you want. It's already done. It's a done deal. Mm-hmm. And that is the illusion of, this is a social construct, allow you to think you're free when you are absolutely so not
exactly
free. And and this is the divine feminine rising, because the mother figure would do all and fight for the children, for the community. I mean, I'm not saying us women, I'm talking about the divine feminine energy. If we go back to our ancestors, so to speak, Homo sapiens sapien way back was not like this. They were the ones that, I don't even like to say, they weren't leaders, but they were the mothers of communities. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was nothing like this. And it's taken tens of thousands of years. They put this program in, and now it's obviously, I'm going to say,
right. Exactly.
We've hacked it. We've all hacked it. The energies have hacked it, and it's breaking it down. But it is structures like that. And I've said it many times to people on the show live. I say, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to turn off your TV for 72 hours, 3 days. And then instead of watching that what they're telling you is the truth, watch your own truth, your life. Film your life with your families, your loved ones. Even if you're arguing with your kids, film it. And after 72 hours, you would have experienced being you in your life.
That's
you
right.
Turn that TV back on, you'll say, I'm not part of that. And you will get the split between the two. And that's what I can say to you. Turn it off.
Exactly.
Watch your own life. Have your own experience. And you'll find that the fears, you'll start asking why. I mean, we've had 2 years of the most ridiculous laws anyone could ever think of. Even a child has got more intelligence. But you know what? In the beginning, how many people never said, why? Why should I do that? No one. No one said why. Now, you've just got why?
Right, that's right. Absolutely.
Rising.
You said such an important word, illusion.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it hit me that all of us are living under some sort of an illusion, an illusion of who we are, an illusion of what's going on in the world. And it's that illusion that you want to work through. It's that illusion that you want to walk through. Yes. I was talking to somebody and I said, well, they said, this is a wonderful quote. And I went, why don't we ever write a book of our own quotes? Why don't you, to ourselves? Why, or to somebody else? Why somebody else's words? I mean, when I was a therapist, I was a psychotherapist, and I realized that the biggest thing that was going on was that my people had nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
And I almost wanted to say to them, get a friend.
Yeah.
But it was the thought of this is me, and breaking away from whatever was going on, like Venus, and showing your words and yourself is scary for them. It's going against everything, but the only thing you're going against is an illusion. The illusion that I bought when I was bringing up my kids was, mommy's bake, mommy's sew, mommies are always home, mommies do this, and I saw them do it.
Yeah.
And that so wasn't me. One more time, I bought into the illusion, and I became depressed because I wasn't what everybody else was. One more time, I wasn't what everybody else was. And I was never brought up to be an individual, because then you're seen. So what I'm asking people to do tonight is just look at the illusion.
Yeah.
Pick something in your life that you were told, and look at it as an illusion. And what would happen if you walked through it? Like an example, there are thresholds and doorways. I used to do with my kids and my clients all the time. Walking through that door is a very scary thing, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. But the fear is only the part of the threshold that you're walking over. So make believe you're walking through a door, and they walk through the door and it was fine. And that's exactly what it's like. I mean, it might take years. For me, it wasn't overnight. For me, it took years, and it took energetic healing, and the whole 9 yards. But and I still question it, and I'm still learning, and I still feel sometimes vulnerable, and I still feel that oh God, I'm not measuring up. But the thought is, and that's why you brought up such a great word, it's an illusion.
Illusion.
So instead of the social construct, let's look at it as an illusion.
Yeah.
Like, in the Matrix, red pill or blue pill.
Yeah.
And you had your choice. And we don't have a choice.
I love that. I love doing my shows. It's the way there's so many different perspectives on saying the same thing, and I'm going to throw my 2 pennies worth in. The illusion is the idea you have about yourself, because that idea you have about yourself is built up constructs that were given to you. And so that is why it is an illusion. I'm not saying reality is illusion and blah, blah, blah. I'm saying the idea you have about yourself is a formation of social constructs. There's the illusion. That's not who you are. If you're born into a Jewish family, yeah, you think you're Jewish, but if you're born into a Muslim family, I'm Muslim, or there you are. All of these are social constructs to divide, to bring polarity.
Exactly.
So this is the illusion, and none of us are wrong. We all came here to go through this. Hello, and we've done it. We're here. We're all still working on ourselves, and the whole point of the divine feminine rising is the healing aspect of this. And what we're talking about are maybe some ways that maybe resonate that you could start your healing and just be you. And please ask why. Why? Just say why.
It's true that those words are profound, and to ask why when you never used it before is a very difficult thing. What we're talking about here, people, is the fact that people might say, "Well, I have to leave everything that I believe in." No, you don't. But you have to find yourself within that. If certain things, certain words fit with you and you're okay with them, stay with them.
Yeah.
But go inside and find your own beloved. It's not out there. That's the illusion, is that it's out there. It's not out there. It's in here. Your wisdom, somebody. So that's where you have to go. It's never going to be out there. I mean, the therapists and everything else are part of everything, and some of them are phenomenal. But again, it's in here. Now, when you talk about therapy, there's two. When I was in school, I was taught, Freudian stuff, and then I had the wonderful opportunity to learn about feminist therapy. And it wasn't feminist, like militant therapy. It was the feminine approach. It was about the connection. It wasn't like you talk about Erickson's 7 stages of man, and they work towards adolescents break away from their families because that's the only way that they can find their identity. And then they find their identity, and then they go out and do whatever they're going to do. Well, if you're working with the feminine way of doing things, there is no hierarchy. Nobody has to leave. What the parent has to start understanding is that it's a joining, and you're going to have to be open enough to join with them in whatever they're sharing with you.
Absolutely.
Because they want your wisdom. So, and the fact that, here's another. If you have a woman who comes into your office and she's depressed, well, in the regular therapy, you find out, okay, what on the outside is depressing her, and there's nothing about bringing the society into it or anything else. But when you talk about feminine therapy, what you're really talking about is, okay, I'm looking at a woman. What is her role in society? Might not be her role, but what is the role that she was given? Okay, how does she not feel like she's fitting in? Because it's a joint thing. You can't do one without the other. You can't. It's I hate to say it, but they're making therapy like a solitary thing, like you were talking about. It's me, and I'm growing, but nobody's changing the outside. So I'm growing, and I'm still facing the same thing on the outside that made me depressed in the first place. So the choice is: do I go back and stay depressed? And and I'm talking about this from experience. Do I go back and hibernate again? Or do I start moving forward? What do I want to wake up and rage, or do I want to move forward? And that's the only choice that we have. but there's no right wrong. I want you all to know that there's no right wrong. I'm not saying that everything that I'm doing is right. I'm not saying that everything that I'm doing is right. Because there's no right wrong, because then we're perpetrating the same thing we're talking about. Because if there's right, you're not accepting my illusion, and therefore you're wrong. America is the biggest example of that. The fact that the country is so divided that you can't even talk to family members, because the mentality is, if you don't believe in this, then you're wrong and I'm right. So again, if you break up the system, if you break up the people, you don't have a united front. Like an example, the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Russia went in there and figured, well, everybody's going to buy our illusion of the fact that we're going to go in there and we're going to clean it up and we're going to give them freedom and the whole 9 yards. Well, Ukraine didn't think that way. And they're standing up there. The individuals themselves are standing up there, and they've been fighting for 3 weeks. And I know they're getting support from every country, but they wouldn't have if there was a right wrong within their system. The only thing that they saw was Goliath was coming in. It wanted our freedom. It wants our democracy, and we're fighting for it.
But it's like a perpetual loop. This is, then I think it's one of the last major things that humanity will go through, because humanity's gone into cycles like this, from these social constructs, the illusion, again and again and again. And it's off the back of the other thing that just happened, and humanity is, I've got to say, you raised another point there that I often speak about, and many people don't even realize they have this. You have a choice. That's another thing. And I'm, as for example, I don't get involved in what's going on. I'm just still working on me and where I'm going. However, what I have seen is the response on the majority is, I've had enough. It's another social construct. They're putting out another social construct to bring back the fear, because everybody dropped the fear over the past 2 years. The first year was fear. Yeah.
Right. That's right.
So, and everyone's going, and then someone said to me, I don't know how long ago it was, a few weeks ago, said, oh my God, World War III. And I said, do you ever, sort of rationalize this? If any country in the world press that button, the lot of us go, and they're not going to kill themselves. What? Didn't even have that in there.
That's
and
right.
I said, it's so that is all social constructs thinking. That's the illusion. You've been told how to think. You've been told how to respond. You've been told how to react. But when you're a mother, I'm not, obviously the majority of mothers, by the way, no matter what, even though you have your social constructs, there is not this way of thinking. Let me use that word for now. You overcome, you find solutions, okay. you what's the word, consolidate or consolidate, whatever you call it. You bring things together. You do not separate. I had 6 children. There's no way I could put one against it. You try and bring them together without the war, without this. And so that is the divine feminine rising.
Exactly.
Under restriction, still under the illusion. But that's how examples it comes up. And this is divine feminine rising now is literally dissipating all of the crap that's going on. And that's why we're on the last lap. It's healing time.
I was talking to somebody, and 100 years ago, I would look at the war and say, oh God, somebody's winning, somebody's losing. Again, an illusion. And again, to separate because you're taking sides.
Yes.
And now I look at things and I go, well, wait a minute. Why would you have a war to bring peace? Why would you have a war to bring people together and want to do things together? Why? I would think that you would sit at a table. But the whole thing is that the fear that everybody is walking around with, and I'm not saying everybody like you and I
know what you're saying.
The fear that the big guys are walking around with, that if we come together, if we do, unite, divided we fall, and if we stand together, they're screwed.
Yeah, disempowers them, doesn't it? It disempowers them totally. And that's so they can keep throwing all the stuff. I mean, it's too late. We're on the victory lap, and now's the time for healing. And that's why I so badly wanted you on the show we could talk about the social deconstructing these social constructs, and maybe give a bit more information about the divine feminine energy, because most people think, I did way back in the day, I thought it meant women's rights. Way back in the day. I mean, it's the way it goes. And hopefully we've opened your mind slightly to it doesn't, it's in the males as the females. And on the conference, you got Rob the gangster man, and Omar, who's just a love bug, going, the divine feminine day, yeah. And it's normally in the social construct, you wouldn't have that. Right. That's broken down, and that's now becoming the norm. And they're fully aware of what it means and how the balance comes, even with the male energies that are coming on the conference as well. It's powerful. And for me, every day I'm learning. If something doesn't resonate with me, I don't watch it. Right. I move along. And then the next presenter, and I go, oh my God, and vroom, and I'm in. And that's where I found you.
And thank you. And I found you. What this whole conference was about coming together, about joining. They didn't give labels. It was a joining. So when we talk about the divine, when I talk about the divine feminine, I'm talking about a bringing together.
Yes.
I'm talking about a building together. Yes. I'm talking about a creating together. So it's more like this, where you put your own together and you just bring everybody into your lap.
Okay? Absolutely.
Which is not happening, because if we do that, and it's happening in certain places, if we do that, we're going to break down every illusion and every construct that we've ever been given, and we're going to question everything. I used to tell my daughters when they went to school, I want you to question everything. Don't take anything for granted. If you have to question that teacher, you question that teacher. Well, like I called up to school more times than not, but I said to them, listen, she's allowed to have her opinions. That's who she is. She's being brought up that way. So if she's going to question you, it's not a personal, she's questioning you personally. She's questioning you as a teacher. Where did you get that information from? Why are you saying that?
Absolutely.
So, and I learned something else at home, but it's the pushing out. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's masculine energy, but there's the illusion, the pushing out, the separating.
Yeah.
And what we're doing with the conference, with the divine feminine softness coming in, is we're still warriors.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We will still kill you if you come after our children.
Yes.
But it's that combining. And the fact that we can look at something and see the big picture, and see if you do this, this is going to affect them. If you do this, that person is not going to have what they need.
Yes.
It's a social bringing together where you're saying everybody matters.
I totally agree. I mean, and I've said to Rob and Omar, to me, it's like some vortex opened, and and when I saw who else was coming on, I went, oh my gosh. And what was coming forward, it was like it's never been done before that I'm aware of like this. And the most important thing, it's free.
Right.
It is free. You don't have to pay to watch it or get clips for it. It is free for the whole of humanity. It's just like you're going on an 11-day university in 11 days and learn all topics, and each one will break down a social construct, because we don't even realize how many social constructs there are. I mean, it's so embedded within us, and a lot of them are hidden. We have no idea we have a social construct, a belief, a conditioning to comply. And because of the diversity of topics on there, it's breaking down one after the other. This is global, and it's free.
All you need to do is question. All you need to do is question.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Somebody wrote the Bible. Somebody sat down and wrote King James Version in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote what you're supposed to do in church, what you're supposed to be responsible for in this religion or in that religion. And it's an illusion, and it was meant to keep a hierarchy.
Yes.
It was meant to keep an equality. So if you start looking at in your own lives, wait a minute, is this bringing inequality, or is this giving us inequality? Is this bringing everybody together where we all realize that we're responsible for each other, that we have to know about that person whose food doesn't look like ours, whose the hallway doesn't smell like ours, who speaks another language, that basically we need to start looking at what I call the commonality of the heart. That if we strip all of this away and we sit down with each other, we're going to have the same fears. We're going to have the same desires. We're going to have the same dreams, even though they look different. It's going to be the same thing. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be protected and accepted and do well by their families. And even if it doesn't include children, do well by their partners. That's the feminine. That's bringing everybody together.
Absolutely.
So look at that and say, okay, so now what can I do? Well, if you find something that's separating something, even if it's a we them language that you're hearing, bring it up. You know what? I can't agree with that. Not why you can't agree with that, because we don't owe anybody to discussions on it. It's just who we are.
I just say doesn't resonate with me, and the end of subject. That's all I say.
But I want you to take it one step further.
Yeah.
And say, what am I really not resonating with? Well, now you have a word for it, which I have to thank you for, which is, I'm not resonating with the illusion. Now that doesn't make me right and you wrong. That's where the feminine comes in, because we're going to be together. So let me ask you what really matters to you. What is your deepest desire? What is, forget about everything else. Who are you? How is your day going? It's just like little things like that, and not in passing, like, in a job, how is your day? And you walk, away, but a coming together where you feel uncomfortable, where you're pushing your boundaries of, I don't feel comfortable in this. I'm not that I have fear. It doesn't feel right on my skin. It's like as if you had an itchy sweater on. I'll give you another example. When I was doing therapy, because of my Brooklyn accent, most probably, they figured I could get away with anything. They asked me to go into a locked youth facility and do groups and do individual therapy. These were kids that were gangbangers. That's what they knew. They would describe their first drive-bys to me and everything else. And but it went wonderfully, because it went from they and them, because they were in a group and they were all in different gangs, to, but wait a minute, he feels the same way that I do. So how could I smoke him? How could I do this? Because what our job is to look into the soul. And when I first went in there, I was a white lady, and they said to me, God, we would, you came into the neighborhood, we would screw you up in a heartbeat. And I went, I know. And I would be scared to death, and I'd want to cross the street, but I wouldn't. And they said, and we wouldn't separate to let you through either. But as we got to know each other, as we took that time, they invited me into their homes. I would never go, but they invited me into their homes. They said, we will protect you on the street. Why? I wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary, but I saw them as a human being who has
it's vital.
The same hopes and desires that my kid had. One of them even said to me, if your kids had my mother, crackhead mother, and I had you, our lives would be different. We would just be exchanging stuff. That for me is the feminine. I look at you and I see somebody that has needs, that has desires, that is willing to talk about them. How many people do you know that'll come up to you and just openly say, damn, I just heard my mother in my head. It's like, and when it happens, and I've had this happen, people would look at each other and go, I never realized that my mother brought you up. I never realized that my grandmother brought you up, because we realize that there's no difference, and it's just an amazing thing that we're all in this together. I don't care if you're from England, I don't care if you're an American.
You've raised some really raw, crucial aspects even on that I resonate with you. When I was working in the youth justice system and with young people of other ethnic minorities in crime, and I was the white woman, some of the children were white, but majority was ethnic minorities. And they were like, want to be gangsters and everything. But obviously, I had a very similar approach to you. And after it didn't, and I was just me, the mother in me, the feminine me.
Right.
The understand. I saw the vulnerability. I saw the social construct that was around them, that pushed them to be exactly where they were. And I remember, working for many years in this field, and the joyous thing that came out for me, there was one day, God, it was 3-4 years later, I was walking somewhere and I heard someone call out, Miss, Miss. And I'm going, you what? You what? And it was one of the young men running up that, they had said would end up in prison for eternity. Straight A's, going off to university, not because of me. There was a group of us working in the underprivileged community. And for me, when I know the divine feminine is possible, because I've experienced it like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can do this today with everybody. Everybody, as you rightly said, has a vulnerability. Do you know that vulnerability is a social construct? We've all been given that vulnerability, and to become vulnerable so we can be controlled. The divine feminine now that's rising is addressing that vulnerability. And once that's addressed, self-value comes in. And when self-value comes in, victimhood goes and the vulnerability starts to dissipate. It's a process, but it is a beautiful, beautiful process.
To have somebody see you.
Yes. Oh, God.
And to have you see somebody else. And I'm not talking about being colorblind. I'm not talking about, the kumbaya, everybody is the same. No, we're not the same. Yeah. We all have different experiences in life.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to come and tell you what you need. I'm going to ask you, how can I help you? What can I do? I'm going to ask you about you. So could you imagine if people listening now just had somebody come up and say to them, whether it's a family member or whatever, what do you think? What do you need? What is your deepest, darkest desire? And
what do you want to do?
well, you're going to sit there with your mouth open. But if we did it for each other, then what's going to happen is that this well of the divine feminine will meld with what we need to push through all this garbage, so that there will be a strength and a compassion. There will be a pushing forward and a joining together.
Absolutely.
And that's, but so let me ask you something. How do we do it in our daily lives? How do we, we're talking about this, and the people that are watching the podcast and are, I would be saying, so how do I do this? It's all wonderful language, and we're saying all these wonderful things. How do you do it? You take time. And I don't, you know what? I can't really, if I tell you how to do it, then it's going to be my projection of what should be.
Absolutely.
So what do you think you can do in 1 minute? Let's make it easy. Let's start with the illusion. What are you seeing in your life? What are you seeing in your area? That's an illusion that is there to keep something else in power. It's there to keep us sleeping. It's like ether. So
why don't we say,
start with that?
Let's start this, whatever you want to call it. Let's do spot the illusion, guys. All right, let's lighten it up and go with the lightheartedness of it. Let's spot the illusion. Oh, someone's trying to phone me. Stop. Oops, sorry about that. Let's do spot the illusion. And you're quite right, sweetie, because we can't give our perception how we do it, because it's coming from an individual source. It's like what I think I said to you yesterday. My analogy for when we do this work is, here's an orange, we cut it in half each. We're both experiencing it in the orange. However, we're going to experience it totally different perception, different ideas, different. We're not even going to see the same color, orange, the shade. It will be totally different perception. So it's about, it really means every individual person looking for the illusions and working through that themselves, because we don't all have the same social constructs that pull us back. So some may have less or some may have more, and it's irrelevant. So that's why it's very important to look in with it yourself. And as you rightly said, speak to somebody. But if the best way I've found in helping myself is by helping others. I can't explain what happens. When I see another person, I look in a mirror. It's my reflection. Okay. And if I see an arsehole, I think, shit, I need to get him. Something's going wrong. I need to look at myself. Like sometimes you see someone, you go, they're an arsehole. And then you register. Why am I reacting? What am I seeing? And then you start to break that down, and you actually basically say, well, they're being an arsehole because it's the social constructs around them have created them. They're not being their true self. Right. This is how. So I do multiple different things, and sometimes it's a bit difficult this way or that way. But I think if you give time to another human being, ask them, what do you want to do? If you're not happy, do you realize you have a choice? And then you'll see the illusions, because people say, well, I can't do that. That's the law. And I say, that's the illusion. It doesn't exist.
Watch the telly and see how you're feeling about certain things you're hearing on it, certain programs that you're watching.
Yeah.
Because once you start questioning that, then you're recognizing the illusion.
Yes.
And you're waking up and
Yes.
you're saying, wait a minute,
Yeah.
there's a spin here because everybody is blowing their own horn. So just watch the telly and say, wait a minute, that's not real life over here, or that's not real life over there. Romance isn't all of that.
No.
And what they're saying doesn't make sense to me.
No.
You're looking at it and going, like, lift the veil, because the veil is the illusion. So that's, if you want a concrete, lift the veil, and then you can lift the next one, and then you can lift the next one.
Absolutely.
We can't be complacent. I believe that we live with the cloak of complacency, where we see something in the street, we see something, and we do it from the ease of our living rooms. We do it from the ease of our chairs. We do it from the ease of full bellies, which is, it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to buy into everything because we're fed, we're clothed, whatever it is. I don't care how you get yourself fed, but your belly's full.
Yeah.
So wouldn't we want that for everybody? So if this person on the television is telling me that this is right and that's right, and I'm not going along with that, why are they doing it? Because you're looking at the illusion that they want to give. So question it. And as you said, do something for somebody else. I know that when I was feeding people on a food line, I always learned from somebody. And I looked and I said, there's somebody's kid. I mean, they didn't grow from pods. This is somebody's kid. This is somebody's uncle. This is somebody's nephew. They belonged to a family.
Yes.
And immediately they stopped being the homeless.
Yeah.
Stopped having the illusion of what they were like, and they became human beings.
I mean, that is so crucial. I mean, you've just reminded me, God, it must have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was working on another project. It was drug and alcohol in the community. So it was the homeless people. We was in a building where we'd hand out food and things like that. And they come in. And I remember, because one of my children, made 2 homemade beautiful chocolate cakes and to give out as they come in for the food, so they could eat home-baked cake, which you don't get. They had lots of boxes from the shops as the food banks come in. And this was one of the major turning points in my life. And they were having slices of chocolate cake and about seeing the human in another. Watch this that happened to me. This is like, I get emotional because it cracked me open. And I had the cake, all the slices there, and this guy walked in. He was homeless. He was disheveled. He was covered in feces, urine, pus spots. I mean, I'm not making this up. You just couldn't make up, that you would normally run a mile. And he was coming towards me for a piece of homemade chocolate cake. My social constructs were in, defense mechanisms come up. And I go, oh my God, he's got AIDS. Oh my God, he's going to come near. And then all of a sudden, this is true. I heard, what would Princess Diana do? I heard it. And I went down. This man come up. He was crying, arms around me, and I hugged him back. And he said, I am so grateful. Thank you for a piece of cake. I saw the human in him. I saw the being in him. Everything dissipated around him. Everyone looked at me like, oh my God, you're touching him. That just cracked me open. And that's what the division is, because we're given the social constructs. In the illusion is, if I hug this man, I allowed him to cry. I didn't allow him. He felt safe enough to cry, to embrace, and he wanted to show gratitude. And it just cracked me open. I was blown away. I was blown away. This is what we need to do with people. See the being, not the image, not the identity you have, not only about yourself, but the identity you have about others, your perception of others.
Because it's going to be a skewed perception because you're not that person and you're not living their life. So, and you're living a life, of perhaps comfort, perhaps discomfort. I mean, I'm sure that there are people living in the streets that look at somebody who has a home and have their own skewed perceptions. But that's because we're coming from what we learned and we're coming from our own lives. And it's time that, we walk past homeless people and look in their eye and say hello. That we walk past anybody, just say hello to somebody. Because you were trained that you don't talk to strangers, and because we're okay and they're not. So just do that. If there's the simplest little baby steps, the simplest little look at a person and say hello.
Love it.
Open up a door for somebody and actually say hello to them.
Smile.
Mean it. And mean it. It's not a throw off thing.
Yeah. I mean, actually mean it. I mean, you can't change the world, but you can change yourself. We're going to have to bring this to a close. We've done a 4 hour and a half, and I could talk to you forever because we'd keep coming up and going down that rabbit hole. It's the divine feminine rising.
And I want to leave the listeners with this, our watchers with this. This was my story and how it worked for me and my perceptions of it. And I don't want them to become yours. I want you to get whatever you're going to get from this. I want you to throw away whatever is superfluous for you. And someplace just to allow yourself to plant a seed that we're not going to change the world, but I have a different perception and you have a different perception. Do not change your perceptions because you think, oh, wow, look what Miriam was talking about. Look what Gloria was talking about. I want to do that. Well, you can, but in your own way, not in my way, because then number one, I don't want that power. And I want this to be for you in your own way.
Absolutely. I can't top that, so I'm leaving it on that because that was beautiful. Before we do go, tomorrow night, it's my other show, Open Minds Chat Show, and I have John Shaughnessy coming on, who's going to do a presentation, Ancient Messages from Egypt and Göbekli Tepe. And I had a conversation with John. Oh my God, he makes me like another gangster. I'm telling you, I'm getting all the American gangsters on my show. He is another gangster.
A gangster, right.
Another one. So please tune in tomorrow night, 6 p.m. UK time, for Open Minds Chat Show. Thank you, sweetie. You're
welcome. You're welcome. Anytime. I just
you're coming back. Oh, you're coming back. But before we go, I want you to sell yourself shamelessly. Where can people get hold of you or anything like that?
I'm putting it on. I put it in the chat. You can get hold of me on Facebook. You can you instant message me. You can email me at Miriam, Miriam Schiff, SCHIFF as in Frank 123 @gmail.com. I'm always available. You can you could just friend me on Facebook and you'll be able to instant message me and we'll chat.
Lovely. Well, thank you, gorgeous. I'm definitely bringing you back to the show again. You take care, and
You
to
too.
everyone watching, thank you, whether you're watching live or you watch on the replay. Take from the show anything that resonates with you. If something doesn't, just put it to one side, find your own path, find your truth, and look after yourself. I'm Gloria, and this is Inception Saturday Night Live. Bye, everybody.
Bye.